Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Right, I'm just going to wait for a few of you to hop on before we get started. So I'm having a little dance to Shaka Khan. Bit of self-care. I've got to practice what I preach, haven't I? Bit of self-care, so on a little dance while I wait for you all to join me. Hi, Leanne. So don't mind me as I move around. Morning, Shelley. I'll turn it off in a minute. I was just writing some coaching content for the last hour, so I've been having a dance and a sing-song as I've been listening to some music, and I'm like, I don't want to turn it off. But I'll turn it down. I'll turn it down. I think we should have a live at some point where we just devote it to like an online party, an empowered online party where we just play music. It is definitely, that's why I can't stop going like that. Where we just play music and we just dance and we just have a laugh. Definitely. Hi, Fiona. So there we go. I've turned it off. So yeah, I wanted to talk about my story of health, epilepsy, empowerment, things like that, because when we've got these limiting beliefs going on, okay, that I want to straight off the bat say that are not your fault, okay? When we've got those thoughts that don't serve us, okay, they aren't your fault. No one is born thinking, or no one wakes up one day and says, I want to feel crappy. I want to feel shit about myself, and then, you know, give that off to those around me and the world, okay? None of us do that. Hello, Aileen. Okay, none of us do. Okay, limiting beliefs stem from conditioning, from modeling, not just from families, but from, say, the government, society, TV, all sorts of different channels, okay? And we're being fed this all the time. You know, lots of different social models, and one of those models is the medical model, okay? And to give you a little bit of background, I have epilepsy, obviously, and I've got a rare form of epilepsy where the way that it manifests is I could be talking to you now, stay completely conscious, be absolutely perfectly fine, and all of a sudden my mouth will shake, and it will shake for, say, like 10 seconds. It will look as though I'm about to cry, but I'm not. And I will stutter, because obviously if your mouth's shaking, it's difficult to talk at the same time normally. And that presented itself a lot of problems for me as a child, and growing up and things like that. And I'm getting a little bit of brain fog, so you might notice a little bit of hesitations here. And that's to do with my epilepsy as well. Hi, Emma. So, and the thing is, I remember having these mouth shakes when I was about 7 years old. I was 7. But the difference between then and now is, back then, I would have a lot of quite severe symptoms with the physical mouth shake. So I would go into daydreams. I would feel extremely tired. I would feel sick. I would literally be completely zoned out, and I would stay in a very zoned out state for a whole day. Someone could basically be talking to me. I would be answering them back, but I wouldn't have a clue what they were saying, and I wouldn't have a clue what I was saying. It was basically like being in a completely different state. So a bit like trancing and channeling, but you don't have the choice. You basically have your power taken away from you. and it's not very nice at all. I got bullied all the way through school because of it. People would kind of, if other kids were trying to talk to me and I was having a seizure, they would get quite angry because I wasn't then responding to them. I got called all sorts of horrible names because they would see my mouth shaking, so it was something funny for them to laugh at. I once had a metal door slammed in my face because I didn't have the conscious awareness to walk through the door, and a boy thought it would be funny to basically slam this door in my face as my mouth was shaking, and all sorts like that. And I remember thinking, going through school, I think from about the age of 11, thinking it would be great to actually, and this is going to sound really, really warped, but you'll understand why I'm talking about this so transparently as I get to where I am now. And hopefully it will provide a little bit of inspiration and empowerment to anyone that's going through physical illness, because without a doubt, physical illness does affect you emotionally. Going through school, I felt so ostracized. Amazing, I should say that bloody word. Ostracized and like an outcast and alone. I used to think that wouldn't it be great if I had some type of illness, because if I had some type of illness, then I could get some type of attention. If I had some type of attention, then somebody would understand me. Then the bullying would go away. Because I had been conditioned to believe through my family and media as well, that if you were ill, you'd be loved, you'd be cared about, you're mollycoddled, you're supported, okay, you're loved. No one hurts you if you're ill, okay? Hi, Katrina. I do love seeing newbies here. So all through school, and probably like, and I'm sure I must have thought this even earlier than 11, that, okay, if I had a diagnosed illness, okay, then all the pain that I was experiencing would go away, because I could use this label, this diagnosis of an illness, to basically take away all my pain, okay, because then I'd have the right attention. Anyway, fast forward to when I got to 15, I ended up having a huge full-out seizure, knocking myself out. I think I was unconscious before I hit the table. Actually, ironically enough, I was talking to a counsellor at the time, because the bullying had spiraled out of control. And I was talking to a counsellor in a little room, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up with paramedics around me, and my mum there, and I was like in my own vomit. It wasn't nice at all. Telling me that it looked as though I'd had a seizure. I'd hit my mouth on the way down, so I had like a mouthful of blood, my mouth had swelled up and things like that. Unfortunately, I had a friend with me as well when I was being counselled and when I had this seizure. And the only thought that went through my mind when I eventually woke up was, where's my friend? Where's the only friend that I have? Because I had clung on to the only little bit of support that I had at that time, that I was so embarrassed being in this vulnerable position at 15, because at that age, that's when you're kind of discovering yourself, what you're about, who your connections are, okay? And the last thing you want is to actually be in a pool of vomit with your mouth full of blood, and especially because you didn't exactly put yourself in that position, and that sort of thing. Anyway, I was taken to the hospital. They ran tests, this, that, and the other, and I was eventually diagnosed as epileptic. So I went for 8 years undiagnosed, and I remember the first time I was put on medication. And I remember going upstairs in my house when I was still living at home, giving the bottle of medication to my mum, who then had a meltdown, shouted, cried, got upset, and said, "Why did you have to make me give you this? Why did you have to go on medication?" Essentially saying that the reason I was ill, the reason I was on medication, okay, was my fault. So it felt like I was being ostracized all over again. Though now I understand that it was because she had felt like her sense of control and power had been taken away, her sense to basically provide me with a sense of support and health had been taken away. Because when you're a parent, the last thing you want to see is your child be ill. Okay, and my son is very ill. He's had brain tumors and things like that, and you do take it upon yourself. So there's no blame from me to my mother for the way she responded there. So I just want to say that. And over time, I came to actually, this is what I have trouble kind of saying, is use my diagnosis as a crutch for attention. Because I did not want to be hurt anymore. It's like now I had this label, it's like, oh, thank God for that. There is a reason why I've gone through everything I've gone through. Now, perhaps people will stop using it as an excuse. If I've got a label, perhaps they won't hurt me. So when I went back to school, I actually asked one friend if they could then pass it around to everybody else that I had epilepsy. And even though my stomach was churning and I was really, really nervous, in my head I was going, this will make everything better, it will make all the pain go away, blah, blah, blah. Now, although I made more friends that were what you would call in the popular group, it didn't solve the problem. It didn't make me feel any more confident. It did not help me to feel validated whatsoever. I ended up getting into relationships I did not want to get into because there again, we're seeking outside validation. But now I'm going to go on to talk about, so I just wanted to give you it was kind of a bit of background that went into a long background. But what I wanted to talk about was what I also received from my neurologist, the medical profession. I came to rely on medication so much to fix me. I went down to, I think, 7.5 stone. Okay, I don't know what that is in American or, in units. I'm terrible at maths. But very, very skinny. So I would say it's one up above like a size 0 in the US. In the UK, that would be classed as a size 4. I'm very, very skinny. Very skinny. And that gave me a buzz. I was like, no one take my medication off me because it gives me this. Okay. In the end, I got so skinny I had to be taken off that medication. Anyway, I went back to my doctor, and my doctor actually said to me, she goes, I don't understand why you keep wanting to stay on medication. She said, I don't actually understand what your problem is with your mouth shaking. I don't understand what your problem is with wanting to get rid of your fits entirely. What my neurologist failed to understand is the emotional impact that my seizures, in other words, my health, had on me. To me, I saw it as the catalyst for others to bully me. Okay, in other words, to take my power away. Okay, and through this medication and a label, I saw it as some form of help. Okay, as a way to fix my life. And I was prepared to do anything I needed to take my power back, even if it was the wrong way to take my power back. Okay. And that is what this neurologist failed to understand. She failed to understand the emotional reasoning behind my actions. And because of that, I shut down. I went away and I self-medicated. I chose my own doses with my medication. I chose my own medication. I refused to go on what they put me on. And I'm not saying this is the right way to go about things, because it isn't, but that is what I ended up doing. I went through months not taking any medication, then putting myself back on. And this is the dangerous cycle that we get into when we are not listened to. We not only destroy our emotional health, but also our physical health, okay? Because we also assume that those in authority, okay, have ownership over us just because they have a qualification or said skills in a specific area. Okay, but I've never forgotten that when she said, oh, and she said it a couple of times on a few appointments. So I don't understand why you want to get rid of these seizures. Anyway, the healing came from not her, and I would say not medication either. It actually came from, and I know I've got myself to thank for this, and my other half to thank for this. And ironically, my partner was in the same year as me at school, so he would have seen probably, but not consciously realised what was going on, like the bullying. Not that he took part in that, because he didn't. But my earliest memory of my partner was when I was 12 years old and I had braces, so all around the facial area again. This is why some people may not realise how far I've come in just doing a live. Okay, when there's anything here, it doesn't trigger me so much anymore, but it takes me straight back to the bullying. But my earliest memory is of him getting me to say silly sausages, because I just come back and had braces put in, and I was thinking, oh God, don't fit. Hi, Alyssa. So what I want to say healing came about by actually in the last couple of weeks, and I don't really talk about my fits very much, because I've now gotten to a place where I don't feel it owns me. And this is the thing, it doesn't own me. I don't use it as an excuse or a label to get outside recognition, attention, or validation anymore. But in the last few weeks, I have been fitting quite a lot. It's probably because I've been a bit lazy on the medication. But whereas before I would have taken that medication not just for my fits, but to lose weight. But actually having those fits increase in the last few weeks taught me a valuable lesson. And that lesson is that where it once would have stopped me doing what I wanted to do, and would have actually been an excuse to stop me doing what I want to do, and it would have been an excuse to try and get more attention, to have someone go, oh, there, she's not capable, or she can't do, meet certain goals, or get to work, therefore we need to bail her out, or we need to provide her with some sort of security through money, because I can't tell you how many shitty relationships I've got into because I felt like I needed financial security, because I did not feel that I was capable of doing my, providing for myself because of these fits. Last week, financially, okay, because of how I feel emotionally, was my most profitable week I've ever had, okay? But ironically, I was fitting all through that. And it made me realize it was like a light bulb. Me having epilepsy is not a precursor for me feeling empowered, me getting on and doing what it is I need to do. Yes, it may be something that I always have, but it is not something that will stop me. It is not something that I need to use as validation for the wrong type of support or the wrong type of validation. The only way that it should be used is to support other people and to show them what they are capable of. Because often we worry that we cannot do X, Y, and Z because we have whatever illness it is. Because we've been conditioned to think that with that specific illness, that it will tie you down, it will shackle you, your illness will shackle you to the symptoms of your illness. Yes, it can be a drain, and sometimes when I have a fit, I will have a headache or I'll feel extra tired, in which case, I won't do a live, or I'll go and have a sleep, or I'll have to rearrange a client 24 hours after they've booked or something like that. But it does not stop me essentially doing what it is that I need to do. And the fact that last week was the best week that I had, alongside continuing to have these seizures, basically was the evidence that I needed to say, okay, my epilepsy is not a precursor for my growth. Because often, especially in spiritual development circles, you're told, oh, if you're ill, if you've got illness, if you've got disease, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. Check yourself. You're doing something wrong. Well, no, I feel fucking great. And I've had my best week yet. So no, I don't classify myself as doing something wrong, actually, because you can use the blessings and the positives in the illness that you have and learn from that and pivot from it in order to make you move forward. It's only when you use whatever illness that you have and see it as because I used to see my epilepsy as like a big black cloud over my life. That's when it will bring you down. And I don't know, and it can be anything, absolutely anything. You look at children, like my son, because I can only use my own examples. I haven't got permission at the moment to use my clients' examples. But I know I have clients with huge, health problems that are still achieving their goals. It's because they do not use it as a precursor for what they can achieve. Okay. Shelley, constantly telling my friends, quit telling yourself what you can't do and start saying. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, unfortunately, even the medical profession will limit you. And I'm going to say this now because it pissed me off. I was watching, some of you may have seen the post that I put up this morning. I was watching a program about indigo children yesterday, and indigo children are, for those of you that don't know what indigo children are, highly intuitive, psychic. They're here to basically raise the consciousness of the planet, but they also have symptoms that look like attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity disorder, things like that. They don't tend to conform to rules. They do tend to struggle in school, things like that, because obviously the school system it's all about conforming. There's very little in the school system that is in alignment with emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, working towards a purpose for whatever your purpose may be. Okay, it's mainly all to like academic achievement, okay, instead of like emotional achievement. So, and I was like, ooh, indigo children, yay, because I know my son is. I've got no doubt that my partner is as well, and things like that. And then when the presenter in this, who is also an indigo, was presenting this, and he was interviewing a psychologist, he actually said, well, what we would do with someone that presents with symptoms like ADD, ADHD, and things like that, doesn't conform, basically, doesn't feel like they fit in, blah, blah, blah. We would put them on Adderall, Ritalin, those sort of things, and straight away I'm like, And he also went on to say, oh, well, when you tell a child that they are gifted and they are unique, thanks, when they're gifted, when they are unique, they are talented, okay, that they don't have to, they don't have to fit in, things like that, that it actually holds them back. And the bit that got to me was this psychologist actually said that it is narcissistic to tell a person that they are unique. Like, sorry, people that follow me, like, I will go blue murder and keep telling people that they are unique all the time, because they are. And this is why we have a huge problem in society, okay? And this is why depression rates, suicide rates, I make no I don't hide the fact that I tried to commit suicide 3 times, things like that, because those that are in power, okay, and not a healthy power, okay, are getting us to fit into tight little boxes that we were not meant to fit in. No one is meant to fit into tight little boxes. That basically puts a rein on your purpose, okay? It is crap, and it really pissed me off. Like yesterday I was like, need to get that out of my system, need to talk about that, need to get that out of my system. Yeah, it really is crap. So when you even have like medical models like that, people in authority, that, you know, where you may not have those that have the self-development awareness or spiritual awareness, or may not have the confidence to set boundaries for themselves or other people, and put their faith and their trust in those psychologists and those that have that belief, the effects are going to be absolutely devastating as well as destructive. You know, and I'm not saying that medication is wrong at all, but I'm saying when we can't look at a root cause of something and see someone's soul, someone's love, someone's gifts, someone's uniqueness, someone's talent, and we're just looking at what's been projected on the outside first, it's essentially sticking a band-aid over a filthy wound without cleaning it first. And it will just continue to hurt. It will continue to hurt. We've probably got lots, I know there are lots of adults in my generation that are going around with a heck of a lot of unhealed pain because of that type of belief. It is not narcissistic to love yourself, okay? It is not narcissistic to see beauty in yourself, to see talent in yourself, and to actually use that for good. That's the difference between a toxic energy like narcissism and the other that I was just talking about, okay? Narcissistic, toxic energy, okay, seeks to control in an unhealthy way because they are so disconnected from self. The narcissist actually does not see themselves as unique. They don't. The narcissist does not see themselves as beautiful in the loving, compassionate sense of the word, okay? They don't. They're so disconnected from who they truly are at source. All they see is ego, fear. Yeah, so that bloody psychologist was wrong. Ooh, I'd like to be in a room with him and have some freaking strong words. Anyway, so I'll get off that subject, but I had to get that out. Yeah, thoughts of harm from, yeah. Nothing, I think, and to acknowledge that you have those thoughts of harm as well is not a weakness. And we don't realize how much the time that we are actually harming ourselves either, not just physically either, the words that we say to ourselves. I mean, how many of us actually do say negative words, okay? Because that's emotional self-harm as well. Oh, no problem, Anne-Marie, my love. I'm just going up through the comments so I can read them all, so that I can at least acknowledge them all. And if you've got any questions, ask them. Oh, Tina, that sounds lovely, taking your daughter for Reiki. And they use crystals that, yeah. That reminds me, my son, who's 7, who's definitely an indigo, and at the moment we are he's really struggling to process his emotions at the moment, so it comes out in quite violent ways and a lot of frustration. So I got him some crystals, and it's one that I'd never heard of before, and it begins with an S, and I can't remember the name, but I'm gonna have to tell you guys it. But it's really helped him. I've put one under his pillow, and on the back of his tablet, actually, because it helps with basically cutting out on electronic, trying to think of the word now.
Interference.
That's it. Thank you. Interference. It's because I've been yakking all day. Now my mind's starting to slow down. No, Tina, it's not organite. I wish I could remember it. Never mind. I'll look it up later. Right, Alyssa, we are not treated as mind, body, spirit, and you're fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, he said sorry for going past the screen, and I said you're fine, and he went, yeah, I am. We are not treated as mind, body, spirit, and everything needs to have a label instead of treating each person as a whole. Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel as though labels in some respects help things, because sometimes labels will get you the help and support that you need. So for example, at the moment I'm pushing for my son to have a diagnosis, okay, because I know what there is going on, but without this diagnosis he won't get the right one-to-one support that he needs in school. So I think labels are useful, but when used in the right way, in the right context. But we can't, like Alyssa, like you've said, you can't forget to treat the person as a whole. Oh, Marie, my love. Another thing that I think that we're worried about as well is our capacity to heal ourselves in a way that feels good to us. So we think that healing means to be absolutely clear of any feeling reminiscent of illness or disease. Okay, it could actually mean that the illness or disease stays there, but you actually find a positive, empowering way to live with it, to the point where you don't feel as though it's a burden on your life. Okay, that's still healing. Okay, so Marie, what I would say to you, sweet, is prove yourself correct. Okay, don't do it for the validation of other people, or though I can totally understand why you're saying to prove them wrong, because there's gratification in that, okay, and there's sense of purpose in that. Do it because you want to feel good for you, okay? And the way you do that is, okay, think of the opposite to how you feel with regards to your illness. So how do you view your illness at the moment? Okay. And then what's the opposite emotional feeling to that? And then work on that. Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. Honestly, that's why I'm very, very grateful actually now to my epilepsy, because it's taught me a heck of a lot about my own power to heal. But actually my own power to heal wasn't what I thought it was. I thought healing was about getting rid of something. okay? And that again came down to my false perception of comparing myself to others doing this work that had absolutely, who I thought had absolutely no ill health, no emotional problems whatsoever, that sort of thing, okay? Because people will only tell you what they want to tell you, okay? It's how you choose to live with it. It's how you choose to view it. It's how you choose to use it. There are reasons why this. I mean, I will categorically say I manifested my epilepsy. I manifested it, but not for the reasons why I thought I did. But just because I manifested it does not mean to say that I was doing something wrong. Okay? Because you'll often hear like people, especially law of attraction fields, they will say, oh, well, if you have any form of illness, it means you're in resistance to something and you're doing something wrong. Okay? Yes, you may be in resistance to something, but that doesn't mean to say that there is not a very valuable lesson in that resistance, okay? In what has been brought into your life. In which case you're still capable of being in alignment. Let me just read your comment a minute, Shelley. Having to have surgery, this next surgery again, I'm struggling with healing, but I had to remind myself I'm healing what I can, but sometimes we need, yeah, definitely. I'm actually trying to think when my next appointment is. Yeah, I think I've gone to the bottom of the pile. I don't think they've liked me speaking up anymore. Never mind. Oh, I've got a water. I'm not used to coffee. But yeah, definitely try and, if you're struggling with your physical health at the moment, I would definitely get your journal out. You guys know that I'm a big fan of journaling. And give yourself permission to feel the emotions, feel why this feels painful, why it feels emotionally painful. How do you view your illness, okay? How do you perceive it? How are you actually in relationship to your illness? I resented my epilepsy. I hated on it, you know, but at the same time I was using it. And therefore, all of those feelings were doing that to me. It was using me. It was resenting me. It was keeping me held back. And that is the reason why I was not at the time achieving everything that was in my mind and in my soul that I wanted to achieve. And then when I finally got to a place where it was like, okay, I have this form of epilepsy, but actually I'm finding ways to deal with it and that sort of thing. And actually I would say what helped me massively was having someone outside of the medical profession, I'm talking about my other half, who actually uses humor. Okay, and you know the saying, laughter is the best medicine. So for example, each time my mouth would shake, he would say something a bit filthy, but it would be funny, and it would gradually turn what I used to connect the thought that I had with my fits, which would have been like the name calling and, you know, the doors being slammed in my face and my mother pointing at me going, wake up, why are you doing that, and calling me a zombie and that sort of thing. It slowly began to rewrite the feelings that I connected to that with new ones. So I could start to see my illness as something that was funny and empowering and something that would bring us together instead of driving me away from other people. Definitely, Alyssa, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a sign to reconnect. I like that, reconnect with who you are. It is. Because actually, when I was little, if I hadn't have been having those seizures, I wouldn't have learned how to connect to spirit. Because whilst I was having those seizures, if I was at school and I had a pen in my hand, I started automatic writing. And that's how I developed that. Oh. Just read your comment a minute, Tina. Oh, Shelley, this one's me. Oh, I love this, that everybody's writing how they're viewing their illnesses in a more positive way, definitely. It's like Oliver, he doesn't see what he's been through, like his brain surgery and his epilepsy. He's got epilepsy as well, in a negative way at all. Maybe if he'd had people around him that had told him that it was something negative and scary and things like that, then he would have taken that on as his own belief, but he doesn't at all. He's got a massive scar that goes up his head. And like on the weekend, he was told by a hairdresser that, only superheroes have like scars. Superheroes have scars, and that he's brave and that because he's gone through things like that. So it's connecting it to something that's positive, and that's what will build your belief. And that, in turn will help you to be on the road to healing, okay? And physical healing, because limiting beliefs change the cellular structure in your body, okay? And this is why we end up feeling physically anxious, depressed, and things like that. Let me just read your comment a minute, Tina. Sandra processing her emotions and was self-harming and had explosive outbursts. I bought her magic soap, clear glycerine soap that had a small dinosaur toy in it. When she felt like she couldn't control herself, she was to go wash her hands. This gave her time to process and was a distraction for her. She got the reward of getting the toy eventually. I love that. I really like that. I might have to actually find something like that for Oliver. He likes to play with slime and things like that. And he has, we call it a chew buddy, and he will chew that constantly. It's sensory toys for sensory toys for those that struggle to process their senses. But it's no different to if you find an adult that bites their nails right down because they are struggling to process their emotion, okay? It comes down to that feeling of not being accepted for exactly who you are. So I'm going to leave that there. If you feel as though this was useful, then you're welcome to share it out. There's no share button, but there is a way that you can share it through going to the little dots at the top, and then I think you press copy link and then paste. Now, when my PTSD is bad, I have to have toys to fidget with. Yeah. And it's a good idea to have different ones as well, I think. And this is why, like, a lot of the techniques that I use for that I teach clients with self-care and things like that are ones that that has an effect on the physical body. Okay, so a bit like when I'm saying, when you want to release resistant emotion, when you're writing it out in your journal, rip it up aggressively, stamping on it, okay? Because so much tension, okay, is held in the physical body when you've got nowhere for it to go. It manifests in anxiety, stress, depression, PTSD as well, and things like that. All the memories, all the feelings connected to that experience, that situation, that illness, that time is stored in your physical body. And if you're not giving yourself permission to release it physically somehow, it will just stay there. And then you just manifest more illness, more illness, more illness. And that's not your fault. If you don't have the tools in order to acknowledge that and to process it and to heal from it, then what else are you to do? Oh, fidget spinners. Yeah, I've got fidget spinners. I'll tell you a little, you saying stones, Shelley's reminded me of what my youngest did, Evangeline 4. Because she sees me with crystals all the time. And if I get stressed, actually, and I've got them everywhere, I will just rub them like this. We were going walking and she decided to pick up like gravel, lots and lots of gravel, play with it in her hands and then put it in her pockets because she said they were crystals. She goes, I'm collecting crystals. So I'm not telling her that it's gravel. If she wants to believe that they're crystals, she can believe that they're crystals. Like sensory bag when I go for treatment, super helpful. I think adults need more ways to process stress and emotions. They definitely do. Yeah. They stopped using what helped them when they were younger. Yeah. And it makes it even more difficult if children weren't given those tools when they were younger. A lot of adults, especially in this generation and even in the generation before, are having to learn now. They're having to learn everything all over again because they didn't have those tools to begin with. Yeah, and if you've got no one to verbalize to, Shelley, get it written down in a journal if you can. Rip it up, burn it, stamp on it, okay? Even running in a circle, okay, or jumping up and down. All right. Or you're even welcome to post in the group at any time. That's why it's kept closed, okay? So that your comments are always in a safe space. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there for now. And if anybody's got any feedback or any comments, or if they would like any one-to-one support, okay, then feel free to book through the website, okay? I start from 60 minutes coaching calls, okay? Tailored to you. Yeah, journals are really, really, really good. Okay, so feel free to go through that. But for now, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing angel cards, and tomorrow I will be talking about grounding and protecting as well, because on my page and my profile this morning when I was doing angel cards, there was a lot of questions about energy, protecting your energy and grounding. So I think it will be really, really useful for you guys to have just a little refresher about grounding and protecting your energy as well. And actually that's pivotal when you're looking at keeping a positive mindset in the healing process, especially when you're feeling physically run down or you have an illness that you're trying to work with. Oh, thank you, Marie. Okay, so that's on the agenda for tomorrow. Anyway, lots of love, everybody, and if you'd like that support, don't forget to go to the website. Okay, thank you. Bye.